Nilikwambia guys, Fred Matiang'I alikuwa na uoga wakati ambapo alikuwa hapa nchini Kenya. Wakati Rigathi Gachagua pia hayuko hapa nchini Kenya. So alikuwa anaogopa kutembea hapa nchini Kenya, kufanya campaign na kupasua William Samoei Arap Ruto kisiasa kama Rigathi Gachagua venye huwa anafanya.
I hate to break it to you, but this is the truth.
So huyu Fred Matiang'I ameamua kuelekea upande wa United States of America, amefuata Rigathi Gachagua pale. Because ameona hapa nchini Kenya anaweza shambulia Rais William Ruto kwa kusema ukweli and baadaye aweze kuwa arrested. So Fred Matiang'I ana ile tactic ya Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua anaweza kuwa hapa nchini Kenya but hawezi kuwa arrested. Believe me now. Now I want you to listen to Fred Matiang'I. Amejaribu exposing William Ruto kwamba huyu jamaa is a one term president, na anaongea mambo mengi kwamba huyu jamaa amefeli wa Kenya na huyu jamaa anaweza enda ICC iwapo ndachukua hii ushukani kuwa rais wa Jamhuri la Kenya. Na kuna maswali huyu Fred Matiang'I amejaribu kuulizwa pale na Wakenya ambao wanaishi in diaspora. So I want you to listen, but ensure pia umelike video na nasema thanks kwa hiyo like yako. Tusikize tu up to the end, then I want you to listen kwa umakinifu zaidi. Then your thoughts unaenda kuniambia kwenye comment section.
Constant piling of lie after lie, failure in critical sections of our society and our economy. You know the challenges we are facing now in the education sector, nearly chaotic. No one knows what's going to happen next. Capitation not going to schools. I am told, because I speak to a lot of principals these days, that schools are going to close a bit early because of budgetary challenges and so on. All these are signs of state failure. But the one that worries me most, and the one that should worry you most, is one, that level of violence. And you are Kenyans, I'll be very candid with you. How Mungiki, how Sungusungu, and all these violent groups came up is they started, first of all, because the former state failed, the informal state took over. So as a result of the violence and the recklessness that we have seen from the formal state, the vigilante industry is going to start growing. And if the vigilante industry grows, it means we are setting and moving to an element of anarchy. That happens when our leaders are making excuses, and saying, it is this tribe or that tribe. It is the Kikuyus who are trying to destroy government and so on. I said in public the other day when I was in Kiambu that, this has been essentially a history of excuses. In the first year of the administration, they said it's Uhuru and his administration that left us empty coffers, that didn't do anything and so on. Whole year. The following year, it was Raila and Asmio and the Luos who are bringing maandamano and causing problems. Whole year gone. The third year, it is ni Wakikuyu wanataka kuharibu serikali. The fourth year, it will be ni Wakisii na Wakamba na Waluya wanataka kuharibu serikali, and so on and so forth. That's why I said there's nothing wrong with our country, except that we elected through a democratic process incapable leaders who clearly, sometimes you wonder whether they had a plan to govern or they had a plan to do something else. Because if they had a plan to govern, we will not be in the state in which we are. And now, I want to answer the first question, Kathy, you asked. What would be the difference? I want to be absolutely frank with you. I am here and I am interested in running because I believe that I will offer better management and better coordination of government than what we are seeing. And why? I said the other day in a TV interview that after 10 years of service as a minister, and the last 4 of them spent as coordinator of government activities, I understand government almost like the back of my hand. That what actually needs to be done. Kenyans are not looking for a government to cook 1 million chapatis for them. They are not looking for, Kenyans are not looking for a government to make the bed for them or raise the children for them or the Kenyans are looking for a government that will do one thing: just wake up in the morning, go put your ass on the chair and work. That's all. Do your work. And don't make excuses. When you're supposed to do the work, don't make excuses and say it's so and so, it's so and so. My commitment, and I've been telling fellow Kenyans that since I put my name on the ticket and I put my hand on this, I'm saying this: hold me to account. I will not make excuses. I will not shirk. I will not hide. I will not fudge. I will not bend from responsibility. I will face responsibility head on and do the right thing. And there's no problem, because you see in Kenya, you have a fantastic institution called the public service. At the meeting, I was asked this question about money and campaign finance. And I said, this wash business we are seeing here, some of these people doing well on the campaign trail are people who are on the Interpol list for wash and money laundering. If we are not careful as a country, we are going to launder into elective offices up to 40% of these characters. And we will pay a price for it. Today, my colleagues, those of you who are in the finance sector, we have been grey-listed. 3 weeks ago, the EU also listed us as an insecure financial transaction environment. It has never happened since independence. And the reason why I was very surprised about that EU one is that we are the only country in East Africa on that list. I want to be diplomatically sensitive. Sitaki kuongea mambo mengine niseme, unajua hata Burundi haiko huko. Ta Somalia haiko huko. Sisi tu ndio tuko huko kwa East Africa. Sisi ndio tumeandikwa hapo. Tunafanya ujeuri wa fedha pia tunafanya. So these are the issues. This is the reason why I would like to run for president, because I believe our country deserves and should get better. Our country deserves and should get better leadership, in my view. And you're not going to bring it from Mars or from Jupiter. The people are there. They are willing and ready to serve their country. What they need are leaders who will go and work. I have not arrived from heaven myself. And I am not one of those who carry around a big Bible ambayo inaweza kukuangusha. I go to churches there every day, singing songs, hymns, trying to pretend that I am holy. I am a sinner like you. It's just that I am a realistic sinner who will say, who would like to do his work and get his work done. That is it. Who will not make excuses when I'm supposed to deliver services, and who is willing to level with the people of Kenya and tell them the truth, as it were. We know when Gen Z happened, the demonstrations against Finance Bill 2024 in June 2024. First of all, I asked very many people, and the privilege I have is that you cannot hoodwink me. I think, as someone said in this room, the late John Mijuki and myself are probably the most consequential ministers of security in independent Kenya. I was there for 5 years. I know our capacity and I know what we will do. How was our parliament overrun in broad daylight, and parliament is 2 kilometers from State House? So, and then MPs were scampering for life. What is shocking to me to this day, honestly speaking, and you Kenyans, this is something you should ask yourself questions and answer. No one has asked the question, what actually happened and why? Because in ordinary circumstances, we should have had an all-parties parliamentary inquiry, where all parties come together, have a parliamentary inquiry. In fact, if I was president that time, I would have worked with the leader of majority and worked with the...
Yeah. And given the atrocities that Ruto has done, how will you hold President Ruto and his out of office and the complicit politicians and police officers accountable for over 94 deaths that have occurred at the protests that have occurred since last year and now? We want to see him jailed. That's what we want. We want all of them held accountable.
This is why maybe next time we have a meeting, we should start with them. Yeah. So that, first and foremost on this matter, I believe very strongly, by the way, in accountability. That, you know, for every action that you engage in when you're in public office, I believe in accountability. That you should be asked questions and you should answer for what you have done when you're in public office. That's why for many times we have been in public. You know, by the way, I have answered questions myself about Rivayara. I've answered questions about cases of forced disappearances and said where investigations were not complete, the files are there, they should be complete, and I am myself ready to go before an inquiry. I think for this particular reason, and I agree with what you are saying, we should allow, we have enough instruments. You know, we are a country that is ruled by the constitution and rule of law. We have enough instruments. We will not actually even need to reinvent any new instruments or write any new law. We have both local and international instruments. And you know, by dint of the fact that we are signatories to these international instruments, I am sure that some of them will probably not even need us as a government or as a country to invoke them. I've said this before. This is not the first time I'm saying it, so that someone says I'm saying it before Zamia. I have said it before in a separate interview in media in Kenya, that, you know, people need to be advised about one thing. And I used to tell even police officers when I was their minister, don't take instructions from me to do something wrong, because when you're standing in the dock, I will not be there. The truth of the matter is this: let us all pray and hope that, one, we have a peaceful movement and transfer of power, because the stability of the country is very important. And two, when that happens, I promise you that I will not depart from the line of accountability according to the law and according to what's happening. So that you see, sometimes our countries have got fragilities or certain challenges that we all know. If you politicize certain things, you can end up plunging the country into a chaotic situation. But if you stay on the path of the law, you are always better off if you stay on the path of the law, and the law assists you. Let me finish with this statement. The former head of public service, Mr. Francis Mudaura, when I was in government, we used to have challenges of one kind or the other. So I used to like consulting these wazes, sit down with the Mudaura. And Mudaura told me one thing that I will never ever forget. He told me, you know, Minister, if you actually lived by the law, you decided to yourself when you wake up in the morning, you are going to respect the law and you are going to follow the law, you will be a very peaceful man, because you will have nothing to worry about. Because the law makes it easier for everybody, for those who are aggrieved, for those who have been accused, to do the right thing. So I think my view is, let us pray, even as we part, let us pray that we have a peaceful arrangement, and through that, we ensure that the law and the constitution we have in place, which is strong enough, comes into play. I will not betray the constitution. That's my promise. But let me begin at this particular with this, because I think I have a responsibility as a public leader to say that, or as an aspiring public leader to say that. Chinua Achebe, long time ago, before even some people in this audience were born, wrote a very small book entitled The Trouble with Nigeria. And the opening sentence of that book was, the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership. There's nothing wrong with Nigeria. There's nothing wrong with Nigerian water, Nigerian weather, or anything else. He said it's simply a failure of leadership. I think the first thing I would like to do tonight is something very practical that I've been dealing with in my own personal conversations with people since I came here. There are roughly, I think, about 300,000 or so Kenyans in the US, Balos, isn't it? About 300,000 Kenyans. When it came to registering to vote, probably about 10,000 or so registered to vote out of those 300,000 Kenyans. There are about 2 or 3 polling stations And even then, when it came to the actual voting itself, I don't think 3,000 Kenyans voted in 2022. So let me begin by saying this to you. And even we, as the leaders or aspiring leaders, we can't love your money and the remittances that you're making, but we don't love your contribution. My first challenge to you, wonderful people, is that you need to participate in electing the leaders of Kenya, so that then you can hold people to account. So because I'm a presidential candidate, I took it upon myself to begin conversations with people on how we can make this happen. And this morning I was talking to the people at the mission, and Mr. Maura, we agreed that you are going to form a small team that brings together leaders and representatives from other cities in the US, so that we can complete a proposal on how we can increase the polling stations in the US from the current 3 to 10 or 15, and then begin a process of sensitizing the Kenyans who are here to participate in the electoral process. Because, my brothers and sisters, whatever we do, unless we are participating in making that decision on who is going to make decisions for us, I mean, what are we going to talk about if you are not participating? We can only whine and dine and complain about it. And I'm going to tell people in Nairobi, for instance, that if the middle class in Kenya actually wanted to change the country, they can change the country. Going to Karen Club and having drinks at Karen Club is good, but it will not get us to where we want to go. Participating in the process will get us there. We can stay on X. It's a good forum. We can engage, yes, but voting, actually voting and going to vote makes